Hi everyone, I'm back, and so is Asada. This week I'm going to lift the engine again, except this time I'm actually going to work on the engine mounts. The way that the engine mounts are set up is in the forward engine mounts, the engine bed can be totally drilled through all the way. So the mounts are attached with bolts that have nuts on them that really secures them. On the aft engine mounts, or the ones in the back, the hull of the boat curves inward so that the engine bed, you can't drill through it or you're going to drill through the boat. So what the previous owner did is he just used little lag screws to put the angle iron onto the engine bed, but because they're not able to go all the way through, they work their way out under the vibration of the engine, which is what happened when I was coming home from Olympia to bring the boat to Shilshul. And so this is part of the reason why I haven't run the engine since then. And so what I need to do is, the reason that the previous owner did it this way is because you can't get into it's a hollow engine bed made of very thick fiberglass, and the inside is totally inaccessible. So if you want to get in there and put a nut on a bolt or anything like that, you have to take a hole saw and drill out a big hole so you can actually reach in with your finger or a tool of some sort and put the bolt in through the bolt hole, and then put a nut on the outside so that you can, and then close it back up. We'll see if that works. I don't see why it shouldn't. It kind of seems like a simple mechanical solution, but we'll see. So the engine is already lifted, and if you're curious to see how I lifted the engine, you should check out last week's episode in which I went through all the steps and I showed you the test lift. We're driving to the other end of the marina so that I can use the vise because I want to bend a washer. All the little race boats here. This is either going to work or it's going to just totally not. I don't even know. Hell yes. Bent it a little too much. This one's better. It's like a glove. A glove. To give you a better visual idea of what I was talking about, see, here are the two holes in the engine bed that the angle iron is bolted on through. This is the angle iron. See, this is the piece of angle iron. This is where the engine mounts screw on. These are welded onto the angle iron. And the angle iron just sits right on here, right there. And then the bolt holes go through the sides, right here. So, but what I want to do is drill a hole with a hole saw, and I was gonna drill it in between the two bolt holes here, but now I'm changing my mind about that because I had imagined the bolt holes being farther apart than they actually are when I came up with this plan. And if I use a hole saw in between these holes, it's only going to leave me about 1/4 inch of structure between this giant hole and each bolt hole. And even though that sacrificial piece of fiberglass that I saw out with the hole saw, I was planning to put it back in with epoxy to help the structural integrity of the engine bed stay there. I don't trust that it's going to be as strong as it is without having a hole drilled between it in the first place. So my second plan, where I think I have a lot more room to afford to drill a hole, is on the top of the engine bed, which is like, if I get this out of the way, it's going to be like, so the two bolt holes are right here, and I want to drill just right above it right here, so that it's right next to these holes, and I can get it through, and then I can use a pair of pliers or something if my fingers don't work, and I can put the bolt through so that the head of the bolt and the big washer are on the inside, and then I'm pushing the end of the bolt out through this hole, And then the end of it is long enough that I can put a nylock nut onto the threads and take a pair of pliers while I'm tightening the nylock nut until it gets really tight. And that's my plan. And somehow I know I can make that work, but of course we're gonna have to figure out exactly how that is. I think right here is good. It's right in between the holes. Yeah. Okay, here we go. It's not right in between the holes. No, it's not. There. Okay. Ooh, it's not that. It's not like I thought. The engine bed is made of all fiberglass. With this removed, I can now reach in there with a bolt and figure out how to get the bolt through the bolt hole. I'm putting rubber washers in between the engine bed and the angle iron to buffer some of the shock from the engine vibrating, because the engine bed is solid fiberglass, which is not an ideal situation for engine mounting because fiberglass is very brittle and it doesn't have any give to it. That's why most engine beds are cored with wood. So I'm trying to do all I can to mitigate the fact that it's solid fiberglass to minimize any risk of it cracking. See this hole I drilled with a hole saw? I'm putting the bolts through here. I've already got a bolt started in there. I bent the washer because the head of the bolt is going to end up right on this contour here. And I needed enough, the overhead clearance is really in there. It looks this looks low, but the fiberglass is thick, so on the inside it's not as much room as this. So that's why I bent it. The top of the washer is just going to go sit right like that on the inside. And out the washer. Oh yeah. Yes. That works. Here we go. Fit it on there. Oh shit. Come back, come back, come back. If these could just be longer.
they need longer bolts. So tonight I can't finish because these bolts are too short, and I need to get a size longer. I have my angle iron, so I can't put the angle iron on with the bolts like this, because the moment I start to kind of get them through the angle iron, the moment they start to come through, they just get pushed back. And like this, since they're so short, when the hole gets covered up before I could get it on here, so I can't put my hand in the hole anymore to hold it out from the inside. But if I had longer bolts, I could get them on sooner before the hole got covered up. Like if they were out like this long, they'd already be on, and then I could get it through with the hole open, and then I could get it through enough to put a nut on the outside, which would totally secure it, and then I could push it in, and then I could just tighten it with pliers until it's tight. So I'm gonna call it a night tonight because I need more tools. I need more hardware. Well, guys, that's it for this week. If you'd like to get a better sense of completion for this episode, you can just imagine me driving to the hardware store, going through the aisles, picking out some longer bolts, and putting everything together just the way I said I needed to. So with that, have a good week, and I'll see you next time.